All right, welcome everybody. But so I'm always interested to see how many people show up for this class. And one of the reasons is because a lot of times people think, well, gee, there's no, finding homes. This is easy, showing homes, simple, easy peasy, right? And what it's actually a little more complicated, particularly in COVID-19. I'm going to actually work through some of the process. I set up some showing appointments this morning. I'm going to show you how I did that. There's things that we need to do between now and when we show it. I'm going to show you how to do that. But let's start with the question, how do you find a home to show somebody, right? Let's just start with that. Now, let's start with, I know my computer is just this particular thing. All right. So let's say that you're a real estate agent that works for a large organization, and that organization has provided you with a website. And the website has what's called IDX, the Internet Data Exchange, which is the ability for people to search for homes on your website, for you to set up searches on your website and do all that. Now there's a plot, by the way, if you don't work for a company that provides you a nice website, you got to talk to me, right? Because you can see this one's got pictures of listings, it's got blog posts, it's got a seller valuation form, find out what my home is worth. It's got a whole bunch of stuff. But, and by the way, this is true whether you're at EXP or Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker or Compass or Remax. What I'm about to show you about the limitation on this website, right? And I'll give you an example. Let's say, right now we're just talking about how to find a home. Let's say my buyer wants to buy a home in San Jose, right? And so if we type in San Jose, there it is. And it starts with the default setting of everything, which is kind of annoying, but I probably could change that in my preferences, but I just haven't bothered. We're looking for single family homes. And right now we just want to get a count, right? We just want to get a count. So we're going to just leave it. How many single family homes are for sale in the city of San Jose, right? I'll ask my website. And my website says, there we go. There's 243. Does everybody see that up here? 243. Okay, that must be it, right? If I set up a search using my website, it'll be cool, all that sort of stuff. Now, by the way, having a website that does an IDX search has a very valuable function in lead conversion, right? Because you can advertise these, and we did a class how if you're at EXP and using KV Core, you can create a catalog of all the EXP listings in your area, and you could market them, and people could go to the website and they could do searches and things like that. That's okay when you're in the nibbling around the edges part of the lead. But as you're going to see, it's not okay necessarily when you get serious about showing people a home. I'll show you what I mean. I'm now going to log into the MLS. This is a house I'm showing this weekend. And I'm going to just clear all this stuff out, right? So we can start fresh. And I'm going to say active listings, single family homes. I'm going to type in San Jose. I'm going to click on that. Oops, that was probably a little too much. How about just that? How about just that, San Jose? Did I do that right? Probably not. All right, I'm going to make sure. There we go. I guess I did it right. All right. So how many does it show here? 373. Now, if I click on results, that's obviously a much higher number. See all these M's that are showing up? Well, one reason that they're showing so many more is those are coming soon properties, right? And coming soon properties, you're not going to see on the IDX search or on other ones. So if we click on do not show, show 12, how about this? Do not show, not. So notice what I've done, and it takes me a couple of clicks to remember how to do it. I've basically, if we look at results, back to criteria. What I want to do is all right, so that should be right. 200, all right, I got it right finally. So let me go back. How many are there? So what I've done is I've gotten rid of the members only, right? Because I might, by the way, when I'm getting serious about showing them property, and by the way, I send my clients the members only coming soon one so that they know about it. But look at the number down here, 278, 278. So my company sponsored website is 243, but there's, where are we? 278 in the MLS. Why would that be? Why would there be more in the MLS than my MLS link on my website shows? And the answer is MLS Alliance. And what MLS Alliance means is that when you're running a search in the MLS, you're not just searching your MLS. You're searching all of the MLSs that are in the Alliance. Now, I'm in MLS listings, which is Santa Clara County, San Mateo County, Santa Cruz County, San Benito County, and Monterey County. But it would also include, when I do that search, San Francisco Association of Realtors, the Bay East Association of Realtors. It would include Barris, which is a big one in Sonoma and Marin. It would include MetroList, which is the big one in the Sacramento Valley. It would include CRMLS, which is a big one down in Southern California. So it's searching more MLSs than my website will search. So that's a significant difference, right? 40 some properties that are actually for sale that don't show up on my website. And if you're saying, well, I'm glad I don't have an EXP website, it's the same thing on your website too, if you have one from your company, because IDX search right now only works with your primary MLS. Now, I've talked to them about why can't, if I can do the search here for all the MLSs, why can't somebody do it on my website? And they're like, well, we're working on it, we're debating on it. They've been doing this for like 20 years, working on it. Right, but that's just the way it is. So do you understand? We use the company website to get people going, but once they become serious, you've had a consultation with them, you want to set them up in the MLS as a minimum thing, right? What else should we do? You've heard of a website called Zillow. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. So we're going to type in San Jose, California. We're going to go to Zillow. We're going to say we want to see properties for sale. And it's going to pull up, I don't know how many, it says 646. Wow. So, but that's, don't get all excited. We click on home type, notice they're including everything. So we're only 276, right? Now what's weird about that is the MLS has 278, it updates quicker than Zillow does, right? But do you understand, Zillow has pretty much got them. There's 90 other listings, and the 90 other listings are like new home subdivisions and things that are not listed by real estate agents. Is it likely that your client may click on other listings to look at them too? You think your client might click on that? And so one of the things that I do when I'm working with a buyer is I oftentimes will set up my own search in Zillow, so I can see what they're seeing. What else might they do? How about realtor.com, right? And so, yeah, it already knows who I am. All right, log into realtor.com. All right, it's just, we don't need to do it. San Jose, California, right? We're gonna hit search. We're gonna go over here to property type. We're gonna say single family home. Listing status, notice they've got new construction and foreclosures in 55. We're just going to click on existing homes. It says 930, but they're doing something weird here. Where is it again? Let me look on this. Done. It's not really that many. And there's another filter, keyword, HOA. I'm not really too sure why it came up with that many. One reason why it might come up with that many and if I scroll through it, I might find out fairly quickly, is sometimes what Realtor.com does is it's syndicating things from all the different MLSs. So sometimes it pulls the same listing multiple times, right? And so even though that looks like a huge number, when you look at it, a lot of them are duplicates and triplicates of the same listing, right? So we're not going to spend any time on that. Is it hide pending? Oh, yes, thank you. I was doing that to see if any of you were paying attention. Somebody was. You're right, you're right. That's what I didn't check. And I knew that, but existing homes hide the pending status. And we're looking at only single family homes in San Jose, 276. Right, so we're starting to get a consensus as to how many homes are for sale. Now, sometimes Zillow and or Redfin, Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com. Well, let's start. Redfin and Realtor.com are primarily searching the MLS. Zillow is the one that sometimes finds properties that are not part of the MLS, right? More often than the others. And the MLS Alliance doesn't cover every single MLS in California. So, but Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com are members of every MLS in California, which means that they sometimes find homes that are on the market that are not going to come up when we do an MLS search. Yeah, that's just reality. So there are two options that you have. One, well, there's probably more than two, but two that come to my mind at the moment. One is you could set up your own Zillow search every time you set up a search for a client just to see if anything extra comes. Now, the clients that I'm showing property to, they're like Redfin and they like Zillow. They like Zillow, right? How about that? They use Zillow. So what they do is they want to do their own searches. And I've had the conversation with them, and I do this with every buyer when I'm having a buyer consultation, is I know that you're going to probably want to use Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com, go for it. But I just want you to understand how we're working together. And what I mean by that is that if you see a property on Zillow and it looks like one that you're interested in, what I'm asking you to do is to resist the temptation, because there may be a picture of a nice looking real estate agent, friendly looking real estate agent, and it may say, if you want more information about the property, click here, and you might feel like clicking there and talking to that agent. What I want is an understanding that you're not going to do that, right? Because that person, by the way, either represents the seller or is just somebody that was buying ads and have never met with you and don't really understand. And so I just want your commitment that when you see one of those, you're going to send it to me, right? Just do a screenshot and text it to me and say, could you tell us. Now, I'm not going to show you the actual text message because it shows the phone number. And I know you guys, if you knew the phone numbers of my clients, you'd all call them and say that, they had to dump me because you'll do a better job. I know what it's like. So this is the text message that I got this morning. Right, we'd like a couple more, Los Gatos. There's the addresses. These are the ones I've already scheduled, right? And then later we're looking in Saratoga and Los Gatos. They wanted Los Gatos in the morning and Saratoga in the afternoon, right? So what I do, and I'm going to keep that open, is going back to Matrix, I have set up a search for them, right? However, I know they like to use Zillow rather than my search, but that's okay. Because what happens is I go to my matrix. Now, I'm talking about the MLS software that I use. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you're either using Matrix, Rapatoni, Paragon, or the CR MLS. And all of them have similar functionalities, right? I'm not going to do a class on all of them. They all have classes. And by the way, one of the things my mentor a long time ago told me was you have to acquire your own strength. So I got a call this morning from an agent who says she's experienced, so she doesn't really need coaching or doesn't want to be on the team. It's just that I know her broker and he's out of town, so she saw. And basically her question was, I don't know how to use the MLS. She's in matrix territory. I don't know how to use the MLS, and I'm trying to figure out what a property is worth, for an offer. Right? What do I do? How do I do this? How can I possibly find out? Right? And I know this is obnoxious and I'm annoying for doing this, but I told her that there's a website that she could go to find out how her MLS works, how any piece of it works. And I asked her if she wouldn't mind to write down the name of that website, right? Maybe some of you are getting your pens out to write down the name of the website. The website I told her to go to is google.com. Go to Google and type in, how do I do a CMA using Matrix? How do I do a CMA using Paragon MLS? How do I do a CMA using Rapatoni? How do I do a CMA? You get the idea. Plus, all the MLSs have their own YouTube channels, right? And the people who make the software generally have their own YouTube channels. And they also, if you just click on support, like in the MLS, you're going to see that there are help and there's training and on-demand training and all this other kind of stuff. I'm not kidding when I say that about 90% of the questions real estate agents ask me, Google would have answered if you just typed it in Google, right? How do I do and I'm going to show you some examples as we go along, right? I just wanted to say that, right? I don't know why, right? So the reason I'm saying that is that if you're thinking, well, this isn't my MLS and I don't know how to do any of these things, I'm going to be lost. Call your MLS, ask them, do you have training on how to use the MLS? Go to it. I'll bet they already have video. But this is where I'm going. I have set up auto email. So I go here and I click on it. And this one is Los Gatos, and then here's Saratoga. I haven't combined them. So for the Los Gatos ones, I click on that. Here's the criteria. We're only looking at, starter homes between 2 and 3.5. Actually, we were pushing that up a little bit. If I click on results, here's the list of all the properties that I found. And then I'm going to look at it and see, are these there, right? And sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. That means that my client, I need to modify the search because he's doing a search that goes beyond what I've set up for him. If I find it, let's say, I would just click on the MLS number and go there. But if I don't find it because he's just searching for whatever he wants to, I go back here, and this is how I find the listing. I know it's a single family home. I know it's an active listing. I know that this is the street number, so I copy that. And then I go down here to street number and I paste it in. And usually there aren't a lot. Now, one of the ones we're seeing at 60 Rogers, you put in 60, there's like hundreds of them. You start typing out the street name, it goes down to 1. There we are. That's Matilla, I guess. And this is why, notice we raised our sites. I have to change my search. We are writing offers beyond 3.5. I need to update the search, but you understand, he's got Zillow. He likes to do it himself. He found the property. I don't care, right? So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to read the red part. Now, this one, I've already texted the guy. I hate these, right? Of all of the ones I get, this is the one I like the least. Down doing on market 129, yes. They're not always, this one's been around for a while. My clients are still interested, right? So, and by the way, we've been writing offers. We wrote an offer yesterday. We offered $600,000 over list price, right? That's all. We did not get it. Somebody outbid us. right? It was about 2.9 was what it was listed for, and we offered 3,530,000 and didn't get it. Right. So, and by the way, having said that, I'm also in escrow on another property. And I'm just saying, where was the house located? It was in Saratoga. Right. So it's hot. The market is hot, but I'm in escrow on another one. Now, the reason I don't like this is that it wants me to text them in order to get a listing appointment, right? In order to get a showing appointment. The other thing that jumps out at me is it's occupied by a tenant. So what I usually do is I copy that, and then because I have an Android phone and I like Google, I have the ability to text people right from my computer. And I can copy and paste things in, and I have sent this guy a text message to which he did not reply, and I've sent him an email to which he has not replied, asking him if I can show it at 10:30. Right now, if you're a listing agent, I hope you're hearing two things about this. Number one, it's better not to have the tenant there. And number two, and I'm going to be doing a class on how to sell a property when you got a tenant there, right? Because there are laws and rules about that. And number two, create a calendar invite, right? So let's look at the other property that I set up a showing for, which is Shannon Road. We wrote an offer on another property in Shannon Road. And so again, I paste in the street number. It's still active, single family home. There's only one with that street number. I click on it, there it is, cheap. This has been on the market 1 day, right? Inexpensive little house, right? 3,595,000, right? Cheap. So this one happens to have what I see most commonly, which is a Calendly link. This, for me, is the best one, right? And I've had people ask me about, what about showing time? There's a whole bunch of them. And out of all of the ones I've seen, Calendly, which is a calendar program, I use it to make appointments with people like you, works the best. So when I copy that, I also like it as a buyer's agent, and I'll show you why. So I copy it, and I've already got an appointment on Sunday, but notice what it does is it shows me all of the available appointments. So while I'm texting, right, I would text my client, how about noon? How about, right, you know, and he'll say yes or no or whatever. Right now, this one is giving us 45 minutes, which is more than a lot of them do. But the other thing that this tells me, even though it's only been on the market for 1 day, I may be one of the only few people that have actually booked an appointment yet. I don't, showing time, I wouldn't buy showing time. Somebody's asking me about showing time. I've only used it as a buyer's agent, and it was a pain. I found it was a pain. I have a Calendly professional account, and I use Calendly like most people do to set up their appointments, right? Showing time is just, it's not as easy, right? And I'll show you what I mean, because let's say I'm driving around with my clients and I need to reschedule something, right? Here's Shannon Road. The guy has not told me about 10:30 yet, but I'm waiting to hear from him. All I would have to do is click on reschedule, and I can reschedule the appointment. And by the way, what I'm going to do Sunday when I'm there, showing it at that time, what I'm going to do on my cell phone is I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to click on that reschedule link. You understand? I'm already there, right? Right before the appointment. I'm going to click on that calendar link. Why am I going to be doing that when I already have an appointment? And the answer is, I want to see how many open slots there are on Sunday, right? When Sunday rolls around, and I might check on Saturday, right? Friday night, how many open slots are there available on the weekend? And sometimes when we're showing property, there's no open slots. There's a message there. Or there's a whole bunch of open slots. There's a message there, right? And one of the, when you're giving your clients advice as to how to make an offer, right? How many people are looking at it, right? You know, and the nice thing about the Calendly link is that it shows me the available open slots, and I'm sure some of the other ones do that too, but it gives me a sense as to how often the property is being shown. All right, so let me go back. All right, so cool. All right, I've booked it. Also, I'm also looking to see if there are disclosure links. And sometimes they're putting them in the market really fast and they don't have a disclosure link. So I usually send an email. I've already done that to the listing agent. And the way I communicate with the listing agent is I scroll down and it has to be that link there. And I click on it. And sometimes I've got too many things open, it doesn't open. Sometimes it doesn't open, but if I were lucky, it would open in my Gmail with an email already made to that agent, right? But it's not cooperating because it knows you're all watching, right? But anyhow, I would send them an email and I would say, I'm booked to show your property on Sunday. Do you have any reports, inspections, disclosures, right? Which I've done, but I haven't got it yet. All right, so we've covered finding the homes, right? And nowadays, the client are more likely to tell us, right, what they want to see, which is fine with me as long as we have an understanding who are they going to call when they want to see a home. And then the other thing we have to do is a PEAD form, a PEAD form. Now, in my MLS, notice this link underneath the picture, use PEAD and Glide during COVID-19. Okay, so I'm going to click on it. Now it's signing me in. Now giving choices, Google, oh, let me just see what it does. I haven't used that link before. Let's just see what it does. I have a Glide account. Use an existing account. All right. Where do you have a Glide account? Now, some of you have an MLS that provides a Glide account. There you are there, right? But my MLS is not on the list, but our union, the California Association of Realtors, has a Glide access. So I click on that. I click on continue to Glide. And let's see how it does this. Your login has expired. Thank you very much. So the easiest way to do this, right? I mean, first of all, it would be, let's see if it's going to be happy now that I'm already logged in. Let's just see what it does. Come on. Come on. There we go. So if we search for buyers, create a new buyer prospect, add a buyer's agent. You would only click on that if you had a team and you're not actually showing the property because you're above all that. So we're going to click on continue. Oops, add a buyer's. I'm sorry. I have to click on myself. The team thing comes later. Sorry about that. So you add yourself as a buyer's agent, then click on continue, add a buyer. And so here is a list of the different buyers. And that's one of them. And then I'm going to add another buyer. And that's another one. And I've added the two buyers. Now, notice my buyers are already in the system. And how would you learn how to use Glide? I know some of you are thinking about that. It's my Loom, yes, I did a Loom link. I did one of these, another way of doing it. Let's say you were confused and you didn't know how to use Glide. What would you do? How would you find out how to use Glide? You could call me, right? You could email me and say, I don't know how to use Glide. How do I learn how to use Glide? Or you could go to that website that I mentioned and type in, how do I use Glide? And you're going to find that Glide also has a YouTube channel, right? And so what it will allow you to do is to put your buyers into the system, right? And I was showing property last weekend or the weekend before, and we were jumping around, and they're like, maybe we could go see this one. And then I made an appointment to go see that one, but I had to send the PED form, which I did with my phone. Right now, Glide has an iOS app, but I don't have an iOS. It doesn't matter because I have the Glide site saved on my home screen, and it works just like you're seeing here. I clicked on it, my buyers are in there, everything is fine, and away we go. Right, away we go. There's the address. Click on continue, and we click on continue. And now, what I'm going to do here is stop. And the reason I'm going to stop is because I realize that I don't like their form, right? I don't like the form. And I'll tell you why, right? This is the first time I've used this link. And so what I'm going to tell you to do is don't use that link. Just don't use that link. And I'll show you why. And the reason is I don't like to have to do extra work. And I'm going to copy the MLS number. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to create a new transaction. So I've logged into Glide, right? I'm not going to use the link the MLS gave me. Who's the primary agent? I am. Then it's going to, this is what I want, right? When I'm setting it up in advance, this is the screen I want to see. Because I click on search by MLS, I put in the MLS number, I scroll down to my MLS, and I'll show you what the difference is between the 2 weeks. This is it. Notice what it's done. If I put in the MLS number rather than using the Glide link, it locates the listing agent and imports their information as well. The last part of the PED form is we have to send it to the listing agent. If I use the other link, it works between me and the buyer, and I'll eventually get assigned a PED form. But then I'm going to have to forward that PED form to the listing agent. You understand? That's another step that I'm just too lazy to want to do. So what I prefer is that Glide automatically send the completed PED form to the listing agent. And the only way I've made that work is by using the MLS number, right? You'll see there's other videos on Glide that say you set up the clients first and then you go, no, do it with the MLS number because it imports the listing agent's information. And I don't have to do that. So this is what comes up. It's a purchase, it's pre-contract. Click on continue. This is where I was ranting about if you're on a team, maybe you have another buyer's agent, but we're not doing that. Add a buyer. Add another buyer. Hit continue. We don't do anything with this. But we wait for it to spin around, spin around, spin around. And then we fill and sign the PED form. Yes, I know Glide will do it, but only if you put in the listing agent's information. If you don't have the listing agent's information into Glide, it will not automatically send it to the listing agent. And the only way I've gotten it to import the listing agent's information in my MLS is to use the MLS number. That's the difference. And I just don't want to have to take the other step when I get it to then send it to the listing agent. I'm too lazy to send it to the listing agent. I'm busy. Sometimes I'm driving around, right, showing property. So here it is. We send for signature. All right. We use Glide's free one. I don't buy DocuSign because I have 3 different systems to sign forms already. Why pay for another one? Sending request, it's out for signature. Great. So while we're here, all right, we're doing 60 Rogers also. So I'm going to copy that. I haven't done any of the P forms. I go to criteria. I say it's 60. Now there's a whole bunch of 60s. RO, oh, only 2. And that's it. And we copy the MLS number and we go to glide and we go new transaction. And I'm the agent. And I'm going to continue. And I'm going to search by MLS number. I'm going to put in the MLS number. I'm going to tell them my MLS. I'm going to hit continue. There it is. Hit continue. I'd say purchase, pre-contract, hit continue. I'm going to not add a buyer's agent. I'm going to add a buyer. I'm going to add that buyer. I'm going to add that buyer. I'm going to hit continue. Don't do anything here. And then fill and sign the P form. So once you've got the system down, this doesn't take very long to do. There's the listing agent. It says it's going to send him a copy, which I like. Hit continue. Hit continue. All right. And send for signature. Now I've got more to do, but I'm not going to do them all here. But I just want to share something just so you see this isn't that difficult to do once you learn how to use it. All right, let's go. Then we'll go on to something else. Continue. All right. All right. Some of the listing agents want to see a copy of the pre-approval letter or they won't book you. There's all that other kind of stuff. Now, one of the things that I do with CalDRE is, let's say, setting up the appointment. If the listing does have a CalDRE link, when I'm setting up the appointments, and one of the things I like about CalDRE is if I were going to set up an appointment, I already got one on this one, and I don't have a new one where I would set up an appointment. It gives me the option in CalDRE of inviting my guests. So I use a program that saves all of my copies and pastes. And so I've got a favorite and I have my clients' email addresses is a favorite. So when that brings up invite guests, I paste in their emails and then they're sent a calendar link. Now, I always look at the calendar link because sometimes it has the address of the property and sometimes it does not, right? And if it doesn't, then let's just pick one. So this is a Calendly link. Notice it actually has the address of the property, which means my cell phone knows where it is, which means GPS knows where it is, which my car will give me directions on how to get there. If they're not using a Calendly link, so let's say that other one, I had scheduled it for 10:30, the one that doesn't use a Calendly link, what I would do is I would put in the title, the address of the property, I'd put the address in as the location, and then I would add my clients as guests. So I want them to have a calendar invite for all of the properties I'm showing. Can you do a PEAT and e-sign and zip forms as well? The answer is yes. Glide is a lot easier, a lot quicker, right? Because it just works a lot better, right? And my original videos on how to do PEAT forms involve the MLS. I don't do that anymore. I use Glide, right? And it's a lot quicker. The zip forms is really more designed for writing the offer. Glide is really good because I've sent out a whole bunch of PEAT forms, right? Did you see that list, right? I've sent out, this is just the ones I've done through Glide. but you can see I have sent a bunch of feed forms, right? And so I'm just saying, you know, I like Glide. Glide is a lot smoother. All right, now I also, one of the things I look for is, what about disclosures? It says it's coming Friday. It says when the offer date is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to just, because this is the only one that we're showing that has an offer date. And so I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it here. And then when I'm done, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go to my clients. This is the one where I'm going to paste it in. So they want to know when the offer dates are, right? And so that wasn't there. And also they don't have disclosures. So this is another property we're going to show. So let's just see what they've got. And I'm going to put that in. Nothing. That's weird. Now, if it's not showing up, maybe I typed it in wrong. Oh, maybe I typed it in wrong, or maybe, and so I must have typed it in wrong. So let me get rid of that and go back here and just copy that. And, oh, that's what I did wrong. I see, I still had the RO. I get it. Somebody's probably texting me to tell me that I need to delete that. Is that what somebody's texting me? So you have a Google number in your computer linked to your phone? Yes, I do. It's a free service from Google. It's called Google Messages. So I can type and copy and paste things into my text messaging, and it's sending it out on my phone. So here's Saratoga Heights. I'm going to scroll down. They have a disclosure IO link, right? And so if they have that, I like it if they have that. And then I copy that, and I've already done this, but oops, I must have copied a little too much. How about this part? How about this part? Now notice what I'm also looking for is, does it say offer review date? It does, right? So the disclosure IO link, I'm not going to show you how to do that, but you fill it out, you're the agent, invite your clients to it, right? The listing agent's not going to get their names and things like that. They won't know. But then I would rather that disclosures IO send the disclosures to my client rather than me having to do so. But they've added this, offer review date Monday at 12 p.m. So I'm going to copy that. And this is, what is this, Saratoga Heights? Copy that. I'm going to go here and I'm going to paste it in, right? Because my clients want to know. So this one I like because they told me when the offer review date is, which is the day after we're going to look at it. They've got a Calendly link, so it was easy to book. They've already got the disclosures, and so not only have I received a copy, but my client has received a copy, right? And they could read them, right? Any others on this list? And I'm not going to do the Pete form and all that, but you know, let me just see what this one looks like. Go to criteria, paste it in. Oops. I missed it. So I'm going to go here. I don't know how I missed that. All right, how about that? There's only one. So I spend a lot of time doing this. Now notice this one, disclosures will be available 4/23 at 4 p.m. on Thursday, 4/29. Owner died in the property. That's nice for them. What's the significance of inspection reports are from last year in, let's see what the question is. Well, so what they're saying is that they don't have new inspection reports. They have them from last year. So I would look at that and see how old their reports are. And what that would do is, it's dumb, by the way, if you're the listing agent, to have out of date reports, because it diminishes the chance that you're going to get non-contingent offers. However, we might make one anyhow, just because, you know, I don't remember seeing that, but I was going fast. So let's just see. Rules don't sit on the furniture. Disclosures IO link. I don't know. Inspection reports are from last year, right? You're well spotted. I haven't had a chance to read them, but I would look at them and see, are they December of last year? Are they more, you know, how old are they? And whether or not my client wants new ones. I don't know yet. I just don't know. All right. Right. So we've set it up. Right now, what is the next thing? Right. So I've got it in my calendar. Google's going to tell me how to drive there because it just will. What is the next thing? And the next thing that you're going to need to do is know how to use your lockbox key. By the way, what I take with me is, first of all, obviously my phone, but more than that, and I'll show you what I'll do while we're doing this, because I haven't done this for everything yet. I'm going to just like copy this. And then I'm going to go to NAR, RPR. I'm going to log in. And so this is before I go show the property. And I'm going to type in the address, let RPR find the property, which it's generally good at. And all I'm really doing right now, because I'm in a hurry, is I'm going to click on the save button. Save this property. Now, what that means is that when I'm there and it wants me to log into RPR, let's see if it will do it quickly. All right. So when I'm there and I'm showing the property, one of the buttons in RPR is saved properties. And when I click on that, it gives me a list of all the saved properties. So I'm going to edit that link of what are the saved properties. And I'm going to remove the ones I've already shown. Notice there's Rogers. So when I click on edit, for example, that one has already been sold and we're not buying that one. And we're not going to buy that one. And we're not going to buy that one. And so these are other things that I've saved, but you see, there it is. So I'm going to do that. So before I go there on Saturday, in my phone, in RPR mobile, right, which you should download, I've already saved in RPR the different properties. That means that and I'll pull it up, especially if I'm there a little bit early, I'll pull it up and I'll be looking at it and I'll say, because when they say, well, what is the lot size? When was the last sale? When was, right? Does it have air conditioning, right? All of that information is in RPR and I can access it quickly from my phone. Just saying, right? Yeah. And I would recommend that you do that, right? So that and you might want to study it. And if they have disclosures, you might want to read them in advance so you know if there's section 1 termite work or a foundation crack or anything like that. All right, so what have we done? We've found the properties, oftentimes with the help of our client. We've scheduled them, hopefully using Calendly or texting or emailing the listing agent, but I did that like 5 hours ago and I still haven't heard from them. Right, I still don't know. And there's a tenant, so who knows when we're going to be able to show that property. I saved them all in RPR. And by the way, when I go on the appointments, I take with me, and this is a Chromebook, right, which weighs almost nothing, boots up in a minute, and my phone has a hotspot. Why? Because RPR has most of the information I want. But this is what sometimes happens. They're looking at Zillow and they'll say, hey, there's a property around the corner. We'd like to go see it. Now, I can find the property in my mobile app. I can read the agent's comments, the private comments in my mobile RPR app. But what I cannot do through either any of the mobile apps that go with the MLS is I cannot copy and paste text that's in that private comment. What text would I want to be copying and pasting? And the answer is the Calendly link. So let's say the client say, hey, we see that there's a property located on such and such a street. Is it available for us to see it today? Could we like squeeze it in? The only way, and I pull it up. Now, if it's got a phone number from the agent, I could call them right from my app. But if I see in the description, it's got a Calendly link, and I know that the phone version of RPR and the phone apps for the MLS do not allow me to copy and paste from the comments. The Chromebook does, a tablet does. And so I open it up, I turn on the hotspot, right? I've got the same Chrome browser. I log into the MLS or I log into RPR. I find it. Now I can copy and paste that calendar link into the browser. I can see what are the available times and I can book one, right? You can copy and paste it from comments on an iPhone, no problem. Well, good, but I've not been able to do that from RPR on my phone. So maybe I need an iPhone, but I'm just saying it doesn't work as well. And I don't know why. Right? So if you have an iPhone, apparently you can do it from the phone. But I also, by the way, carry this simply because there's sometimes things that I might need to do in between showing that involve more than what my phone is capable of. So anyhow, now what? If you've never shown property before, you're going to need to learn how to use the Supra box. How would you learn how to use the Supra E-key? I have no idea, right? No way could you possibly find that out. How to use Supra E-key. Oh my God, has somebody made a video? How to obtain a key and open the shackle on the Supra E-key. We don't want to open the shackle. We want to open the key box. How to use the E-key box, the Texas edition. It's probably the same. That looks like it. This is one that I actually have shown. This is a really good one, right? And since I know everybody's lazy, time efficient, if you don't know how to use it, right, you watch this video. I've sent this video to people and she walks through, she shows you what it looks like when she's using it, right? She opens up the lockbox, right? And there's something of a trick to get it to fall out, right? And then, but you understand, you need to be able to open the lockbox. I get calls from agents because they're at the property and the buyers are watching them, and they can't open the lockbox because they've never tried before and they just don't know how to get it. They don't realize that it falls by gravity. You have to push it up and let it go and it'll fall down once you've gone through all that. Now, sometimes the listings have a CBS code, and a CBS code is call before showing. How would you use a lockbox key if there's a CBS code? I don't know. I have no way to find that out. Or if you type it in YouTube, you're going to see there's a whole bunch of videos and how to use the CBS code. Now, oftentimes what the agent will do is they'll email that to you once you've sent them the PED form. What I do is I put the CBS code in the calendar description for that showing, because my phone will allow me to copy that code from the calendar description and paste it directly into the E-key program where it says put in the code, because I'm not good at remembering 7-digit numbers or 8 or however many digits it are long enough to put it in, right? So if you don't know how, I'm assuming you can figure that out, right? I'm assuming you can figure that out. All right, so now we've opened the door, right? Now, this is a document that I put together a little while ago. I've updated a little bit. Some of this I've already talked about, finding the homes. I need to remove some space there. There's some, different, I don't know, there's stuff, right? I just want to concentrate on the home tour for now. So now you've opened the door, right? It's always good. I ring the doorbell, even if it says it's vacant. Sometimes I'll say real estate agent. Oftentimes I know it's vacant. I ring the doorbell. We walk in. Now, one of the things that my recommendation is when you show property is you're not a tour guide, right? So what oftentimes real estate agents will do is they'll walk in, they'll say, well, here's the kitchen, right? And I know that, when they have a moment, the wife or husband looks at the other one and says, I can see why you need a license to do this, and then the agent says, here's the bathroom, right? And then they comment to each other, I'll bet she scored really high on her exam, You understand? They don't need you to say stuff like that. Look at the beautiful view. Isn't that a nice fireplace? I don't say stuff like that. The idea is you let them explore the house, right? Don't be a tour guide. You also don't want to walk in front of them. That's what tour guides do. You walk behind them, right? And why are you doing it? Now, by the way, some etiquette, right? You should leave it as you find it. If the lights are off, turn them off. If leave it the way you found it. The MLS, sometimes the agent will give you some, don't let the cat out. There'll be things like that. Leaving a card on the counter is an old school thing. Some agents still do it. I oftentimes don't bother. The reason is because that listing agent knows when I use the super E key who I am and that I was there, right? And by the way, if there's another agent showing it, you want them to lock up and then you unlock it. And if there's somebody coming in behind you, you lock it and let them unlock it. So it keeps a record as to who was the last agent in there, and it wasn't you, right? So the reason we're walking behind them rather than in front of them is what we're really looking at is some signal that they like the house and might be interested in buying it, right? Then you can tell by their motive, by their asking about why is the seller selling the house. And maybe they're smiling or frowning or doing something. They're asking detailed questions. They're talking about where their furniture is going to go. They're comparing it to other houses. They're discussing maybe we should paint it this color or change the carpet. They don't sit down in COVID, but not wanting other people to see it and asking to see it again or raising objections. There's a common misunderstanding that if they're objecting, that means they don't like it. Right? If they say, well, the backyard's a mess, right? Look at that, it's a disaster, right? Rather than that being a negative thing, you would say, so what would you do with the backyard if it was yours? What would you do? What would you, how do you see the backyard? Well, we even have a garden over here, we have a gazebo over there, right? You understand that's actually more of a buying sign. There's no reason, if they don't like it, they don't need to, make objections because they just don't like it. So then I've got some sample, things to say. I'm not really going to go into all that, but one of the things that I would do is I ask people after I've shown them the house, so what do you think? Do you want to buy this one? Right? And I just ask them, what do you think? Do you want to buy this one? Do you think this is one you might want to buy? Now, my clients that I'm showing property to, I know when they want to buy it, they'll tell me, right? This one, not that one, maybe this that next one, but not the one in the middle. They'll just tell me. So do you want to buy it? What do you think, right? What's different? What's, better? What's worse? What would you need? Now in a market, right now we're in a market where there's not a lot of inventory. So it's not like that you're taking 100 properties and narrowing it down to 3 or 4. There aren't 100 properties, right? So there's a lot of what I wrote will be true again once we, are in a position that there's more inventory. Sometimes I give them a copy of the MLS printout for a client for each of the properties. I don't do that all the time because usually they have a phone app and they would rather have it on their phone app. If you're in an MLS or that uses one of the like Cloud CMA, they have things that you can print out, because I haven't been doing that during COVID because handing people printed things, I just haven't been doing it. Plus they've got Zillow and they've started and they know most of the details, right? It's on their phone too, right? And then later when we talk, I'll do another class on what do I do when I'm writing an offer. The other thing that I'm going to say about this is how, let's say your buyer is pre-approved. I got one right now for 1.2, wants a single family home and would prefer it be in the city of Sunnyvale. Well, there's not a lot of them there, but they're willing to look in Blossom Valley and Santa Teresa and some other areas. So they're pre-approved for 1.2. What kind of property should I be showing them? What price range? Now, of course, what they want to see are all the properties that are just a smidge under or a smidge over 1.2, because those are nicer properties. But what's going on in the market? So for example, I know, because what I do is, let's say my clients, let's just pick this one, right? Let's say they want to make an offer on this property. What I'm going to do, and you can do this a little bit in advance, is I'm going to go here and I'm going to look at all the contingent pendings and maybe even the solds, but I might look at contingent and pendings. And I'm going to say within 1 mile of that address, and I'm going to get rid of that number. And there are only 2, right, within a mile. And I looked at that one already. I didn't see that one. And the AC, they're less, that means there's contingencies, but the pending means there's no contingencies. So I might send an email or call that agent and ask them how much did you get? And I have an email that I write that says, hi, I'm representing a buyer who's buying a property in the area where your listing was, and I was just wondering, it's a pending, how much was the offer? And I got like 5 agents that told me that. Right now, where I'm going with this, with the last offer I wrote, which was yesterday, the average over listing price in terms of dollar amount was about 500,000. Again, we're in the 3 million range. I'm just saying, and I calculated the percentage, and people were getting between 12 and 20% over list price. You see where I'm going with this? Because if I'm in a market where people are getting 10 to 15% over list price, and my clients can afford 1.2 million, what that means is that if I'm just showing them property at 1.2 million, they're never going to buy anything, because they can't bid 1.3, because 1.2 is their max. So if I'm factoring in, let's say 10% or 15%, 0.85, that means I did that wrong, 1,200,000 times 0.85, maybe I did that right. So that's 1,020,000. So if we are knowing that our buyer is going to have to bid more than now remember that one that we saw that was on the market for 129 days? You don't have to offer more than the list price, and you can have all the contingencies you want. But on the one that we wrote an offer on yesterday, there were 11 offers. 6 of them were between 1.4 and 1.5, and 4 of them were over, 3.4 and 3.5, 4 of them were over 3.5. Right, so you understand, if we know that it's a bid up market, we have to be showing properties to our clients that give them enough wiggle room. Now, if the clients say, I would rather not work with multiple offers and I don't want to have to bid more than the list price and I want to have contingencies, can I do that in this market? And the answer is yes. We just have to look at homes that have been on the market more than 30 days. That's all, right? And there are some. I'm in contract on one in Mountain View, right? It was on the market for more than 30 days. And if the property's been on the market for more than 30 days, then you're probably not going to have multiple offers. You don't have to offer more than the list price. You can have an appraisal contingency. You can have anything you want after it reaches a certain point in time. But when it comes, you need to have this conversation with buyers, and sometimes they have to lose because they want to see the $1,199,000 house, which I know is going to go for 1.3, right? But they want to see it, and they say, well, can we bid on this? Yes, but you understand that this is probably going to sell for 1.3. How do I know that? How would I know that? Well, one of the things that I look at if I'm just going quickly is I would, I'll pick this one. All right. So just quickly, now this RVM, Realtor's Valuation Model, and I have to run a market analysis before my clients make an offer, but it shows a little bit less. Sometimes the Realtor's Valuation Model shows a price way above the list price. And so sometimes I can figure out where we're going to stand. But the problem with these valuation models is that, and this will show you what properties they use, they're using things that have already closed. And what is probably more important is for you to look at the ones that are pending, right? Because the ones that are pending are more likely to show what's actually going on in the market right now. All right. I hope that was helpful. So you got to find the properties, right? Remember, look at Zillow, your clients are. You need to do the PED forms, you need to do all that kind of stuff. And by the way, if you pricing it and doing all that, there's something of an art more than a science. And if you're, by the way, I have a production team. I'm just throwing this out. And if you've ever thought about being part of a production team and having somebody like me help you with your transactions and with your marketing and things like that, send me an email. We ought to talk about it. All right, that's all I got. Next week will be something completely different. Have a good weekend. I'm showing homes. Are you? Have a nice, be safe out there.